Here we go. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. My name is Marcus Heflin. Welcome to the G.R.O.W. Show. Mr. Kyle Evans, tell them where you're from.
Man, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the big raggedy. Some call it amazing. Some call it home. Some call it the South. I just call it where I live. So, guys, what's up, man? Happy Christmas hangover, maybe?
Most definitely. Yes. Happy
Yeah.
Thursday. Happy Thursday, everybody. We trust that the president's treated you well. We are bringing you a present today, and yet we will get to that momentarily. Kyle, what is our foundational bold law again? It's right on the tip of my tongue.
It's perfect for this week, man. Perfect for the holidays. Perfect for working off some of that eggnog, man. We are being human beings, not human doings. We are doing the actual journey of who we are, not just activities, not just actions, not just going through the motions, right? And I think, Marcus, I'll go on a limb here and say we have the perfect personification of that in a guest today.
We do. We do. Even though I could rag this man on so many different levels because of our relationship, today is going to be nothing except love because he has got a lot to offer you guys. So first and foremost, let me be the one to kind of intro my buddy, my pal, Jason Huck. He is a dynamic team leader out of Franklin, Tennessee, which is Middle Tennessee, just south of Nashville. He has been in that role for quite some time now, in a role that is generally perceived as the most difficult at KW. He has championed it. He has found work-life balance and balancing that still. He has pursued other businesses. He still sells real estate at a high level. His wife actually likes him. His kids actually know him. Like it's so many good things. And I had the honor of being at the very beginning of his career. And man, how cool is it to turn a business relationship into a friendship? That man, he's the type of guy that if we go 6 months without seeing each other, the next time we hang out, we talk for 3 hours straight, just like we had, kicked it the day before. So it's great, man. And I just want to say first and foremost, Jason, thank you for being here, buddy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I was a little worried that this was going to turn into a roast the entire time.
There's still time, Jason. There's still time.
I appreciate you at least keeping it PG at the beginning.
There we go, man. I make some deposits so I can make a withdrawal a little bit later on, man. So, if you don't mind, buddy, tell everybody about a quick 30 to 60 seconds about your bio, about your come up, where you started, where you are, the whole thing.
Yeah, listening to you kind of say that brought back a lot of fond memories from the beginning that I'm sure we'll talk about later. But my name is Jason Huck. Came from originally middle of nowhere, Indiana. Went to Indiana State where I met my wife there. Graduated in 2011. Decided that we wanted to kind of get away and start our own. Moved to Nashville and didn't know a soul down here. I had a job, personal training, but no clients. She was still looking for a job there, kind of trying to find her primary role. And we said, you know what, fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. Fast forward 5 years later, I built a pretty solid personal training business, had a lot of really great clients. We'd gotten married, we had our first child, and we had our second on our way. And I realized that kids are very expensive, and I needed to do something in addition to or instead of. And for me, that was real estate. Got into real estate. Thankfully, had a great team that I got started on and was able to make that transition from part-time, dual career agent to full-time real estate. And then eventually in the team leader role at Keller Williams, Nashville, Franklin. And then now, business owner, investor. My wife and I invest in real estate and run a couple of Airbnbs. And like you said, able to be a present parent, which is the most important thing for me, obsessed with my kids. And, we've got a pretty great life right now.
Well, you got a pretty great life because you worked hard to make it a great life, buddy. For anybody that gets into Jason's world, if you're in Jason's world, his kids. Like it's just part of it. It's an extension of him immediately. Let me go back to some of the early stuff before we get into the current. I met you as a personal trainer, as somebody who was just getting their feet wet in real estate. And we made a goal that you would transition full time. And I believe our first timeline was 18 months, if memory serves. Mm-hmm. Remind everybody or tell everybody what that looked like and then what the timeline ended up being.
Yeah. So for me, whenever we met that first time, I remember talking about it. And I think with anybody that's getting started in real estate, you say these goals, but it's the dark room. Like you don't know. You hear people talk about it. It's the fear of the dark room. I think this is what I want. I think this is what it's going to look like. And we set out a plan to get me full-time real estate, no personal training for 18 months, like you said. And a year after that goal, I remember sending you a text and said, "Hey, I'm full time," and I just let go of my last client, which ironically was my first client ever. Whenever we moved down here, and we kind of had a mutual agreement of like, "Why are we doing this? Let's be done today." And it was kind of a ceremonious end to that. But yeah, 12 months, so a little ahead of schedule.
I remember that day, like literally, it was yesterday. I was in an area called Old Hickory, and I was driving past a flip we were considering getting. I got his text. I was like, "Oh, it's game on, baby! It's game on!" And it's funny, that client that you speak of, my friend. Last week we talked about your net worth is your network, and that client who was PT saw a lot of talent in you, and they were the reason you got into real estate with K.W. at the beginning.
Yep.
That's the reason why they inspired you to pursue a team. And it's also the reason why you even got in the team leader role. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was. I got a KPA, Keller Personality Assessment, for a team leader role. Surprise in my inbox, didn't know what that might be for. And so took a screenshot, sent it to her. I was like, "What's this?" I guess that wasn't supposed to go out yet. And so she's like, "Come to my office." And so I was like, "What's going on?" And she said, "I think that you'd be perfect for this role." We talked a little bit about it, but at that time, two things. One, I had, some success in real estate, and there's no ceiling for that. So it was kind of this thought process of, do I mess with this at this time? I've got a good thing going, but also I was working like 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. Kind of still in that daily grind. And really it's kind of like the hangover grind. Like I'd already built up a solid business, but I just wasn't getting off that hamster wheel at that time. And then the second thing was I had a crippling phobia of public speaking. Like if somebody said, "Jason, you've got two options. We can punch you in the face or you can speak in front of these 10 people." I'd be like, "Hit me, man. Like I'm not good." And so I was like, "I don't know if I can do this." And I wasn't going to. But there's a story behind that we can get into later if you want. But yeah, she was the main reason for me to get started with that.
Well, Jason, there's only going to be 300 to 500 people that see this, so don't worry.
No pressure. Yeah. Luckily, I'm past that. I was sitting in a regional meeting recently where I was talking in front of some people, a lot of people, and I thought, like, how ironic that now I've gone from you could not pay me enough money to do this to now like craving and enjoying and getting energy from it. It just goes to show that, nothing really has to be permanent as far as that goes.
Oh man, it's reps, baby. It's reps. That's all it is. Cause I remember doing a video with you to promote Bold.
Oh God.
And my man went full red. I mean, like full red face, the neck. I was so like,
bad.
You okay? I got this. You okay?
Oh, it was bad.
Well, and it's like anything, man. The first time you do something, it's going to be horrific potentially, right? And yet if you decide to be good at it, you can be. And you just put time on task with it. So, buddy, like you've got so many different areas you could cover as far as, nuggets that you could give people, the whole thing. But what I'm hearing is you've got a dynamic competitive spirit when it comes to business. And yet that same competitive spirit goes over to your family as well. So how do you stay focused in all these different arenas? Like, how do you stay organized? Like, what are some tips and tricks? Anything that you would like to share with the agent body out there that's hearing your story and is like, man, like I was there and I haven't quite gotten to his level, or man, I'm just starting and this sounds inspiring. Like I can get there. What would you give them?
Well, first, I think I'd give them a book that you gave me whenever I was kind of spread too thin and you saw me doing a million things at once and I had the leverage in place but wasn't using it. And it was the one thing. And you said, "Jason, you have to read this book. Like this is talking to you." And ironically, I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it, but I'll do it next month." And then it was okay, next month came and I'll do it the next month. And unfortunately, it took a ruptured Achilles for me to actually listen to that and have the time set aside to read the book and also utilize the leverage that I had in place. So I give them the one thing, and I would say just be obsessed with who you want to be and why. And there's a book called Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone that I love. I've read multiple times. And it's not that you have to be obsessed with your business. It's not that you have to be obsessed with money. It's not that you have to be obsessed with like one thing. You need to be obsessed with who you want to be and why. And I'm obsessed with being a great husband. I'm obsessed with being a great dad. I'm obsessed with providing for my family. I'm obsessed with being a good leader, a good friend. Like, you can be obsessed with all those things, but you have to be obsessed in that moment of when you're supposed to be doing those. So kind of combining those two books.
Yes.
Speaking my love languages right now, Jason Huck, let's go. You don't have to be obsessed with money to have it. You don't have to be obsessed with business to have a good one. You have to be obsessed with who you desire to be. And the crazy thing, ladies and gentlemen, if you get a clear picture of who you want to be and why, you start taking steps to be that. You start pretending to be that. And before you know it, you're Jason Huck sitting there as a gangster TL, creating a huge investment business, just doing all the things. Now, Marcus, he gets to go and help other TLs be successful like he is.
That's it, man. That's it. He paved the way. He figured out his skill sets. He figured out the cadence on this whole TL journey. And now you get to, you're starting a coaching program specifically made for TLs. Is that correct?
Yeah. So that was something I'm really passionate about. I love coaching, consulting. That was my background. I had an exercise science degree to get into coaching and personal training. I just didn't realize it was going to eventually morph into the real estate world. But I have talked to a lot of team leaders all over the country. I've been able to plug in with a lot of really great people. And one of the things that has resonated with them that they've taken away is that I've been able to turn the team leader job into a team leader platform, and to be able to build multiple pillars on top of that platform so that you can stay in the role long term and help limitless amounts of people. And if it's just a job, I think you limit yourself in what you can do. And you're also, eventually you're going to burn out of the job. And we see a high turnover rate, about 18 months on average. And I think that's the reason. If you can turn it into a platform, then in my opinion, it's the best platform in Keller Williams.
You know, it's great, man, because if I wanted to become an investor, I can pick up a book and it tells me how to invest. The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. If I wanted to become an agent and make a ton of money, I pick up the red book and it's a Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Okay. Well, if I want to be a dynamic TL, where's that book, right? So, man, it's one of those things that those people out there, the TLs that want to take it from E to P and really launch that career, having a coach like yourself and who's been there, done that, proven track record. And, oh, by the way, you're not stressed out. Oh, you're not overwhelmed. Oh, you get to hang out with your family every single night. Like all these things, you know, it's something that they should definitely consider. And we appreciate you pioneering that for all of the future agents that are impacted by those leaders. So that's huge, man. When it comes to your battery, I've always been curious about this. Multiple businesses. We've actually never had this discussion, so I'm glad that we get to do it in front of everybody.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. When it comes to your battery life, I kind of know how Kyle recharges. I'm still searching how I can recharge and start, because sometimes it works, sometimes it does. So I'm finding my things. What do you do to recharge, man? Because when you pour out and show up for your family and do all the, like, there's a lot of battery that's spent. So what do you do?
Yeah. So I use a lot of metaphors. So I'll use another one here. I think about like your phone, your iPhone, right? If you have your iPhone and the battery's going low, you probably have multiple chargers around in your car, at your house, at the office. You know, you've got multiple places that you can plug in, right? And I think as leaders, we have to have multiple places that we can plug into that can recharge our batteries. My primary is my family, quality time with my family. I could have the worst day. Everybody could tell me that I suck and that we never want to talk to you again. And anything that's going wrong or that could go wrong and I can walk in that door and I can see those kiddos and my wife, and I'm going from 0 to 100 on my battery instantly. And so my number one charger is quality time with my family. But then I need other charges as well. And so I think winning is a huge battery charge for me. And it doesn't have to be, anything crazy. It could be something as small as, hey, I'm going to set an appointment today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to stop calling until I set that appointment. And it's a very doable thing. And then once you set that appointment, boom, I won. I just won that thing that I tried to do. I compete with people that don't even know that we're competing against each other. And I think that charges my batteries. I love helping people, finding somebody that you can help, finding somebody that you can make smile and make laugh. Those things charge my batteries. So I think if I was to give it one thing, it's probably quality time charges my batteries. But then it's preparing and knowing that this is going to happen. Whenever you go on a trip, you're going to need to go get gas somewhere. And so preparing, when do I need to get gas? So we plan out our calendar for the year of making sure that we have quarterly breaks where we're going to the beach, or my wife and I, we take what we call an us trip and we go to the Caribbean and just do nothing. We're not investors where it's just us. So we're not even being parents at that point, right? We're just getting away and doing nothing and recharging the batteries. And I think having that quarterly block through the year, one, it gives you something to look forward to, which is important. And two, it recharges your batteries so that you're not getting too low and then neglecting other things in your life.
I love how it's planned and yet it's still effective. Like a lot of people are like, oh, it's just, they think about that 6 months. Yeah, they do. And you need to, because the minute you stop putting a plan to it, all these thoughts and everything, they actually never manifest. So putting it on the calendar and going and doing it, then you're there, man. Then you get to sleep in and not have the kiddos knocking at the door or whatever it is, right? Whatever your battery needs at that
Our
moment.
kiddos are banging down the door. They're not knocking. Yeah, that door is broken in. Yeah.
Bro, y'all ever meet Katie, his little girl? Y'all ain't ready. I mean, gymnast to a T and energy like nobody you've ever met. It's amazing. So, man, I love it. So we've got the battery life. We've got the perspective here. What about Jason Huck as far as growth? How do you always, how are you seeking growth? How are you implementing that into your daily grind or weekly, quarterly? What do you do for growth?
I think for me, it's, I'm always happy, never satisfied. I use that phrase all the time. Like I'm totally happy. I have an amazing life. I have a better life than I could have ever imagined growing up. But it's not that I'm not satisfied with what I have. It's that I know I've got opportunity for more and I can help more people and do more things and provide more for our family and provide more experiences. And so I'm just so obsessed with like the potential, and there's always potential all around us. And so I think actively putting myself in uncomfortable situations, because we know that, growth and comfort can't coexist. And so I think craving uncomfortable situations and putting myself in those, it could be a new team leader and standing in front of a room of agents that have no idea who I am. And I hate public speaking. That's a pretty uncomfortable situation. But then you get in it. And like you said, the reps, and then all of a sudden you build up this callus, and now, it's great. I enjoy it. It's, buying your first investment property, and that's super uncomfortable. And you have no idea what that's going to look like. You've done your research, but this is uncomfortable. And then, wow, this has been great. Let's get another one. It could be starting your real estate business. It could be whatever you want it to be. And, I think always looking for that next thing to add to the platform, that next pillar. For me, it's coaching now. It's going into this as this is going to be, that next discomfort of starting a new coaching business, and knowing that there's going to be some growing pains. I've got to build up that callus, but it's going to be that next phase for my family.
I love it, man. And, it's fascinating because once you grow into that and you get that cadence and you've done it, then there's more possibilities on the back end.
Right.
Kyle, what you got, buddy? What you
a
hearing?
bajillion things, Marcus. I'm just getting amped up over here. Jason's just speaking my language this entire call. I love the fact or the idea, and I want to make sure that the audience hears this and understands this, because it is counterintuitive. It is very hard to understand once you hear it until you get it, and then it's a light switch. The things that we are not naturally good at tend to show up in our mind or emotions as uncomfortable, or as in we don't like them. And it's simply because they're unknown or we're not good at them yet. In Jason's example, multiple times in his career, he chooses to get through the uncomfortable or unknown, then guess what? He starts to get better at it. Then guess what? He starts to like it and do more of it and get even better at it, right? Competence builds confidence. Confidence builds more competence, and that keeps circling on upward. And he is a living example of that. So, guys, if lead generation, for instance, is your uncomfort zone right now, lean into it, because I guarantee you, once you start getting better at it, you're going to start to like it. If public speaking is that, lean into it, right? If exercise is that, lean into it. There are so many things that we're just not good at first that we write off for our life that could benefit us in such a huge way if we just went through the process of the reps, man. So chef's kiss, Jason Huck. I know you're tiny, so I can pick you up, and I just want to squeeze you.
I was waiting for it. Whenever Marcus asked me about how do I focus on growth, I was like, well, actually, if you saw me stand up right now, you'd notice that was maybe an area of opportunity for me.
Man, you know what's Jason's always done, or has done this now, by constantly seeking something that was uncomfortable, just like you said, and then doing it anyway. He's now created a habit of success in his head versus I should do that, I didn't do it. I should do that, I didn't do it, because that is also a habit. And I think that may not be serving some of the people out there. I know it hasn't served me in the past, right? And yet when you start that habit and you prove to yourself time and time again, that was scary and intimidating and horrible, and yet it wasn't. I did it, right? So now this next scary, horrible thing, I can do it again.
Yeah. And I think it's putting yourself in that on purpose and on a regular basis. So like it could be as simple as like my daily routine is getting up at like 5 a.m, which is not comfortable. And then it's going to the gym, which is not comfortable. And then getting done with the gym and going out to the pools at like 40 degrees and getting in an ice bath for like 5 minutes, not comfortable. And then, going to work and starting your day. Now you've already done all these uncomfortable things that are good for you. And your mind told you, whoa, we should not be doing this. And you did it anyway. So you've already got those wins for the day. So anything else that pops up that seems hard or uncomfortable is really not.
Love it, man. Love it. And as you can tell, guys, there's a reason why I love having Jason Huck in my world. So Jason, some parting words. Our time is pretty much wrapped up, even though we can hang out for the next 4 hours together. Some parting words for any agents out there, any leaders out there, anything that you would give them, a motto you live by, anything like that.
Yeah. So I think I touched on a couple of them. It was always happy, never satisfied. And
I love that one.
Being obsessed with who you want to become and why. And I think if you can focus on whether it's agents or leaders or whatever the case may be, on this is who I want to become, but then also why, because I think sometimes we get focused on this is who I want to become. And we focus on that and it doesn't happen because we are not focusing on why we want to do that. And so always be happy, but never be satisfied. And then be obsessed with who you want to become and why.
That's perfect, man. That's perfect. Well, guys, if you're a TL out there and looking to go from E to P with everything in that role and in life and in general, reach out to Jason because he's got a dynamic approach to this role. And hey, if you're an agent and you just want to pick somebody's brain, a leader like him, Jason's going to drop his info below. We'll make sure that you're able to connect with him. If you're looking to grow, hit Jason up. If you're looking to go on roller coasters, hit somebody else up because he won't be able. I had to, man. I had to.
I'm limited on which ones I can go on for sure.
Jason Huck, I appreciate you, man. Love you, brother. Thank you for being here. Okay.
Thank you guys for having me.